Hello, happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm actually filming this on Monday because I wanted to do it in advance, but I'm going to post it on Tuesday, so happy Tuesday for you. Um, yeah, so it's going to be another Tuesday tea and tarot talk. And this time I'm going to put that full title instead of just the abbreviation TTTT, just as an experiment to see if it gets more views because it mentions tarot. Because I think people just like, if you see the picture and there's like just me sitting here, you're not going to know what the fuck TTTT even means. But anyways, today we have my favorite tea, maybe not ever in the world, but one of my favorite teas. It is the Passion Tea from Tazo. I think it's primarily hibiscus, but it has rose hips, orange peel, maybe a tiny bit of cinnamon, and am I forgetting anything? I think that might be it. It's so good. I love it. Mm. Oh, so good. I also chose this cup so that you could see the beautiful red color that it is. Um, wow, it's so good. I'm gonna have to take another sip. Mm. Okay, so what am I gonna talk about today? I want to talk about passion, hence the tea. Um, but what deck should I use? That's a good question. So I have one, two, three, four, five and a half tarot decks. I say a half because if you watch my last video, I used the Psychic Tarot Oracle deck, which is technically an Oracle deck, but it's a tarot-based deck. Um, yeah, and I've used already my Rider-Waite-Smith, so I don't think I'm going to do that one. I think what tarot deck makes me feel the most passionate? Well, probably my Rider-Waite-Smith, but that's just because I've had it the longest. And I think since I've had it the longest, I read with it the best, just because I'm more familiar with, you know, the imagery and how I feel about certain cards. I think, though, today I'm going to use the Hermetic Tarot. So, this is my box that I got my Hermetic Tarot in. It says Tianjin, China, or maybe Jianxin. I can't tell if this is a J. It might be a J. Jianxin. I don't know. And it's got dragons on it. And I got it at the thrift store. I don't know. I just thought it was cool. I don't know what this is like traditionally for, but it fits my tarot card box, so that's what I use it for. So, this is the Hermetic Tarot. And it's kind of an interesting deck. It says it's based upon the esoteric workings of the Secret Order of the Golden Dawn. So I don't really know much about the Secret Order of the Golden Dawn. But the reason I got this deck is because I wanted like a Thoth-ish deck, but I didn't really like the Thoth deck. I don't know, I didn't love the imagery. It just wasn't my cup of tea. But this one was a little bit more because it's black and white, but it still has a lot of the same, you know, associations, imageries. It has like the decans, if you know the decans in astrology. It has a whole lot of stuff. But we're not here just to talk about this deck. We're here to talk about passion. So I'm going to use this deck to talk about that. So here we go. So, we obviously understand that, you know, passion is one of the greatest motivators in life, right? If you're passionate about something, you're more willing to, you know, give your 100%, keep coming back to it. But I feel like oftentimes it's hard to, you know, cultivate passion. And even sometimes when you are passionate about something, it still can be hard to do, right? Um, Excuse me. So let's just see what cards come out, what this deck has to say on the topic of passion. So right away at the bottom of the deck, what do we have? The Princess of Pentacles. And so she is called in this deck the Princess of the Echoing Hills. Interesting. The Princess of the Echoing Hills. I really like that it has names for each of the cards, because it sort of makes you think about the cards in a different way. Like I remember the Hanged Man is called like the Spirit of Eternal Waters or something like that. I just thought that was very interesting. But so because it's an earth, it's pentacles, it's earth, it's talking about the hills, right? The mounds of dirt. And so we've got ram imagery here. We've got some flames down here at the bottom. Interesting. Okay, let's see what cards actually came out though. So, let me put this over here. We got two cards. We've got the Chariot, which in this deck is known as the Lord of the Triumph of Light. That's so interesting, because it's associated with Cancer. And so Cancer season is when light starts to triumph, right? It's when it starts to be more, it's when the summer solstice is, right? So it's more sunlight than darkness. So light is triumphing. Triumphing? Is that the word? Triumphing? No way. Okay, light becomes triumphant over the darkness. So yeah, we've got the crab here. Obviously, we've got a chariot. What else do we have here? We've got 10 stars. Interesting. So what is passion? It's when light takes over. It's when the energy, the positivity outweighs the negatives, right? When we feel passionate about something, we're feeling all the light and the beauty and the joy overwhelming the maybe darkness or the drawbacks that we might feel from that same sort of task. So passion is light overcoming the dark. It's, yeah. Okay. And then we also got the 10 of Cups. So this deck calls that the Lord of Perfected Success. And so this is the Mars ruled decan of Pisces. Okay, so it's the 10 of Cups. So how could that relate to passion? Feeling emotionally fulfilled, right? When we go after our passions, when we engage with our passions, we get a sense of fulfillment, and we might feel like we have perfected success. We know, like even if you're not nearing the end of whatever passionate endeavor, creative endeavor, goal you're doing, when you are engaging with your passions, it feels like a success because you're overwhelmingly light, joyful. Wow. Interesting. Also, so for me, as a Taurus rising, I have Pisces on the 11th house. And so the 11th house has to do with hopes and dreams, as well as friends and social groups. But I think that for me, it's also, my Mars also happens to be in the Mars ruled decan of Pisces, I'm pretty sure. And so for me, some of my passions include things that are like a little bit like weird and metaphysical, given Pisces. But I also like things that involve like exertion. I don't know if you saw my last week. I didn't do a tea and tarot video. I did a Tumbling Tuesday video. And I think I might alternate. We'll see. I don't know. Who knows what the future holds. But I love to tumble. I love cheerleading, and that involves, showing off strength and force, and tumbling is like propelling yourself through the air. Um, so that's one of my passions. Um, let's see, any other cards for the subject? Let me take another sip of my tea. Oh, it's also the perfect time to get started on a new passion, right? Because we are about to have tomorrow, or today, if you're watching this on Tuesday when I post this, it's the new moon in Taurus. And this is like one of the best new moons of the whole year because it's with both Jupiter and Venus, so both of the good doer planets, both of the benefics, both of the planets that increase and promote growth and joy and expansion. Both of those planets are in the same sign as the sun and the moon. And not to mention, we also have Uranus there. We just had the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. And so we're still kind of in that energy, which is like growth of radical change, right? But because this is happening in a Venus-ruled sign, where Venus is at home in its sign, this is like the perfect time to, start creative endeavors, things that involve, joy, art, music, but also things to take care of your health and your well-being, to nurture yourself. Yeah, it's like a really exciting new moon and energy. So yeah, if you have something that you're passionate about and you want to engage with it more, go set out a new plan and start it tomorrow or today or whenever you see this, because there's no time like the now. So even if this is like, you're watching this, I don't know, 5 years in the future, go ahead and do it anyways. Okay, what else do we have? So now, we have another princess at the bottom. We have the Princess of Swords, who is the princess of the rushing waters. Interesting. So she has a lot of serpent imagery over here. And I'm not too sure what this thing is, but here is the Princess of the Rushing Waters. Okay. Sorry, my hand's like shaking. But here we go. We got 2 more cards. Wow. So, we have the Blasted Tower, which is the tower, which is called the Lord of the Hosts of the Mighty. So I think that's an interesting name because actually, let me get it. In my Tarot de Marseille, the tower is not called the tower. It's called the House of God. La Maison Dieu, or the God House, right? It's going to take me a while to find it. The House of God. So the tower is sort of seen as, the home of the gods or the spirits and the what did it call it? The mighty, the house, Lord of the House of the Mighty. So the mighty live up in the house of God. There we go. La Maison Dieu. So a lot of the times the tower is seen as like a negative card because, it's this building being struck by lightning and crumbling, and there's people falling out of it. So it's not like the most happy imagery, but this deck associates it with Mars. And while Mars is a malefic, a bad doer, it is necessary, right, to balance out Venus, right, in the same way that Saturn, balances out the lights, the sun and the moon, as well as Jupiter in some aspects. So sometimes things have to come crumbling down. Sometimes, things have to change. And you have to cut off certain maybe energies or relationships. The reason I say that is because we've got the 2 of Cups here, which is the Lord of Love. Um, but sometimes crazy drastic things have to happen in order for love to occur. Um, what else? Oh, I also wanted to mention, so if this is like um the oh wait, I read this wrong. Lord of the hosts of the mighty. I think I said house earlier. Um you probably can't hear it, but there's an ice cream truck. Oh my gosh, wait, let me see if it's okay, wait, let me get the camera. Hey, ice cream truck. How funny is that? Okay. What did I want to say? Okay, so if this is God's house, where God lives, oneness, spirit, connection, universe, whatever the fuck you want to call it, Mars represents our fall from that, right? So personally, and you can believe whatever you want to believe, but I believe that we are all made up of energy, which I feel like everybody can, that's like indisputable. But I think we're all made up of the same sort of energy. We all come from the same place. Like all things like this plant, I don't know if you can even see. Let's see. This plant, these plants, me, even this wood, it all came from the same source of energy. And so Mars represents our separation from that. Oh my gosh, I wanted to make a video, and I still will, talking about the journey of the zodiac. And like the reason I'm thinking of this is because we start at Aries. And why do we start at Aries? And there's a lot of reasons. But it's like, why would we start on such like a harsh energy? But when you think about it, when we come into this world, there's a lot of pain going on, and there's literally a severance, right? You have to cut the umbilical cord. Mars is severance, it's cutting, it's separation. And so that's what life is separation. And that's why we love connection. That's why, Venus and Mars are opposites. That's why, in dark times, when the shit hits the fan, when things come crumbling down, we look to love because we know that other people are experiencing similar things. And when we can relate, even though we're feeling that separation, that sharpness and that pain, since it's a shared experience, there's connection and there's support, right? Yeah, and then I'm also just going to mention that the Two of Cups is the Venus-ruled decan of Cancer. And so we have Venus and Cancer here. But this is pretty. We got some like weird fish-looking things, dolphin-looking fish. Yeah, it's just a pretty card. Okay, I think I'm just going to get one more card, or one more shuffle of the deck. It might be two cards because it's been two cards every time, but take another sip of your drink if you have one. So good. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Okay. Let's see if we get another princess on the bottom of the deck. Let's just see what comes out. Anything else? Oh, it was one card. Okay. So it's not another princess on the bottom of the deck. Now it is the Three of Pentacles, which is the Lord of Material Work, which is the Mars-ruled decan of Capricorn. I really love the Pentacles because they most of the Pentacles on there are pretty dark. And I like that because the earth, the ground, solid dirt, that's pretty dark and heavy. And I think, sometimes the hardest thing is real world change. It's not changing your mind. It's not changing how you feel. It's actually making the real life change. That's the hardest part. And so I like that this deck sort of highlights that, at least for me. But this is not the card that came out. The card that came out is the Ace of Swords. So this is the Lord of the root of the powers of air. that's kind of a long name, but they call the Ace of Swords the root of the powers, and because it's swords, it's air, right? So swords is associated with air, the mind, mentalities, right? So why is this card coming out? I think it's because it's saying passion is the root of the power of the mind, right? Why do we do anything? Why do we believe anything? Go watch my Burden of Belief video. It's because we believe it'll do something, right? And when we have passion behind that helps us, do anything, think anything is possible, right? Passion, makes for creativity. It allows for growth, and I think it also allows for a sense of clarity of the mind, right? But it's a double-edged sword in that way, right? Because you know how there's like crimes of passion? It can go both ways, right? We can feel so strongly that it'll cloud our judgment. But I also think on the other hand, we can feel so strongly that it can be such a magnifying glass, right? Into whatever it is that we might be pursuing. Okay, and now to finish off, I'm just going to check what the top of the deck has in store for us. So that was the last card, but not really. This is the last card. And we have, who do we have? The Queen of Cups. And she is the Queen of the Thrones of Water. Excuse me. I think I just wanted to show off more of this deck. But yeah, I'm gonna, I guess, show you all the cards I got again. So we started off with the Chariot, right? Lord of the Triumph of Light, right? When we're passionate about something, we feel overcome with light. And then we moved to the Ten of Cups, right? When we engage with our passions, we become fulfilled. We feel a sense of perfection or success. And then we move to the Blasted Tower, which is Lord of the Hosts of the Mighty. What did I say with this card? I said a lot of things, but for some reason, a Miley Cyrus lyric came to mind. Of course it did. Pleasure leads to pain. To me, they're both the same, right? And I think this also speaks to what I was saying about how passion can go both ways. Because we can be so overcome with passion that we might act out in a Martian way, in a way that tears things down. But on the other hand, passion also fosters love, right? Connection. When we find others that have similar passions, it's like an instant connection, right? I know I have that, like feeling with people who love tarot or people who love cheerleading or anything that I love. People who are vegan. I'm like, oh my gosh, like there's this automatic sense of connection. And yeah. And lastly, we had the Ace of Swords. And yeah, that's that. So hopefully you enjoy it. If you did, let me know. And actually, let me know what some of your passions are in the comments down below. I want more comments on my videos. I want to, yeah, so do that. Anyways, um, peace and love, and I'll see you when I see you. Except, I don't know why people say that on the internet. I'll see you in my next video. No, the fuck I won't. You'll see me. So you'll see me when you see me. Toodaloo.